Shalom everyone, welcome to our Tuesday video, although you'll see in a minute why I'm filming this on Sunday, because that's my day of rest in the day that we're going to be talking about right now. Do you feel completely stressed out? Do you feel like your calendar is so full? Last week we talked about schedules and overfilling your calendar. Today we're going to talk about one of the things that is the biggest Shalom Stealer, and that is not taking some time to rest. Do you have a day off set aside where you just do the things that make you restful and kind of regenerate you? I'm hoping today you'll reconsider if you don't have that. Here in my kitchen, I had actually hoped to do this outside, but like Idaho weather, it is blowing and cold. And if you look outside, it's sunny right now, which the last couple days were not. And we are expecting snow in the next couple days. Probably just mixed with rain and nothing big, but I am in the mood to do some dirt therapy. My kind of rest is dirt therapy. I sew for a living and my passion is sewing. I love to sew, but because I do it for a living, I have to do it. I'm pressured to do it. I've got to meet deadlines. So on the days that I don't have to do that, I love to be in my garden if at all possible. So the winter is long and hard that I can't be in my garden. But now I'm just itching to get out to spring. So I do some things ahead of time because the weather kind of goes back and forth. You know, one minute you're out in the yard and you can have a nice sunny day, and the next minute you're freezing and it's windy or it's raining or it's snowing. And so we are not past our last freeze. So we have quite a few more weeks that we've got to wait. So I like to start some seeds indoors. I don't know, tell me in the comments if you start your seeds indoors. Tell me what state you live in. Tell me if you love to garden. Tell me what zone that is. I am in zone 6B, and that means that my last frost is about around Mother's Day. You can guarantee around Mother's Day is after Mother's Day you're safe to put your stuff out. Before that, if you put anything out, you've got to be carrying it in and out or putting something over to protect it, something like that. So last year I made this huge mistake, and we had just gotten our patio area, our cement all poured, and we had just turned our garage into my sewing studio, and I had brides coming, and I was so excited. I went and bought a ton of pots. We went over to our favorite nursery, and if you are in the southern Idaho area, Moss's greenhouse is our favorite. You can actually even, they sell their plants all the way down to, I think, Arizona. There might be some parts of California. I'm not sure all, but they are a wholesaler and we can visit their greenhouse here. So last year what I did is I made the mistake and I got really excited. I planted all my pots and it was really warm for a week. And then the frost came back and I had to move all those, well, my hubby had to move all those heavy pots inside, and then they'd be inside in our laundry room for a couple days, and then we'd move them all back. We almost needed like a hand cart to carry them. They were so heavy. So this year I tried to have some restraint, but a couple days ago I took my mother-in-law and my father-in-law and my hubby, and we went shopping at Moss Greenhouse, and we held back. I only bought, and she only bought the stuff that pretty much, you can see some of it around here, I'll show you, that is pretty much frost hardy. So I got some of the columbine, and I got the really tall purple ones too, along with, they call these red, but I think they're more pink. And that is the Colorado State flower. I love columbines, and they will reseed and come back every year. And then for my vegetable garden too, right here, I did get some onions. You can put out onions when it's still kind of that back and forth, and I believe you could even plant them in the fall, or at least garlic. I know you can plant in the fall and have it come up in the spring, because it's a bulb, kind of like tulips. And what else? I got the other columbine. You've got to see that. I don't know if you can see how pretty those are. Aren't those great? I just had to get some flowers and stuff. I held off. Now this I won't put out. Okay, so they had these giant, I think they're lamb's ear, but they were in these big pots and the leaves were really, really big. I held off and I didn't spend the money on the big pot yet, but I'm coming back for it. So I did get me one of the smaller pots, and I know they're lamb's ear, but it says angel wings senecio. I don't know. I feel like it's a lot like lamb's ear, but when it grew, it had leaves that were huge. So I'm going back for that, and I probably won't put that out until we are safe. And then of course over here I've got a lot of pansies and Johnny jump ups. Those can go out right now. And let's see, this is a cabbage, a red cabbage, and this is a cauliflower, and those can go out. They don't mind the cold. So they will be going out as soon as it's warm enough for me to go out. It's fine for them to be out there right now, but it's not fine for me. So I got my trays over at my local grocery store. We have a Fred Meyer, and they do everything from groceries to everything else. And I just got the Jiffy little thing. It's a Jiffy seed starting greenhouse kit, and it comes with, it's pretty cool actually. The problem is they are thinner plastic, and I try to get 2 years use out of them, but sometimes they're broken up by the next year. So sometimes you can use them a couple of years, but I want to get the ones that are the harder plastic, that I can use year after year. I'll eventually invest in those, but right now it's not a good time. We got a lot of money going out in other areas and I don't want it to go. But it comes with like a little lid that will go on. There's 2 of them in this, but that will turn into a little greenhouse. It also gives you some vitamins for your seedlings and little tags. But anyway, we're doing that today, and I thought I'd just bring you along. I have been hanging out. It's a Sunday, and a lot of people, gardening is not relaxing to them, but to me it is total rest. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Today what we're talking about, since this video will be on Tuesday, is about Shalom Stealers. And one of the biggest Shalom Stealer, or what steals your peace, is not finding time in your schedule for rest. I just love gardening. It's the way that I get rest. What are the ways that you get rest? Tell me in the comments. What's your favorite things to relax to? What quiets your mind and quiets your spirit? What are those things that kind of recharge you, recharge your batteries, rejuvenate you? Different people. Is it, sleeping in? Is it reading a good book? Let me know in the description what feels good to you. And then you want to also look at, what does your body need to be at rest? Jay and I love to garden so much that on Sundays, right after church or whatever, even when our kids were little, we'd get out in the garden when the weather was good and pick weeds and plant a garden and all of that. And we had some friends of ours that kind of were upset with us because they felt like we were not celebrating the Sabbath, which, you know, we are Christians and we now have a little bit more freedom, but God does want us to be at rest. He knows what our body needs to be at rest. But for Jay and I, getting out in the garden was rest. Even if it's physical labor, it feels restful. It clears our minds. And to somebody else, that wouldn't be the same. But your body needs like sleep. It needs proper nutrition, proper hydration. So what is it that you need to do to rest your body? Think about that and maybe even jot it down. And then also, what is it that you need your mind at rest? Like I said, even sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday, if I'm doing gardening, I can't even listen to the lyrics of music because my body needs to be kind of clear of vocal talking. I don't know. I'm an introvert. And so I get my energy from being alone and being quiet. And maybe you are an extrovert and maybe being around people energizes you. So maybe for you, it's going out with some of your friends. Maybe it's being around a group of people and that energizes you. There's nothing wrong with that. But what is it that your mind needs to be at rest? And then also, what does your spirit need? You know, what are the needs that you have that energize you spiritually, that rejuvenate you spiritually? Think about those kind of things. And as I start to pot these, let's just think and talk about those things. I'm gonna get some of my seeds here. This is my little basket. I've had it for years. I think it used to hold like wine bottles. It has like little square things. It's really awesome. But I end up putting all my seeds from every year so I can keep them categorized. And I've got scissors. I've got everything I need to kind of plant, and I could take this right out to the vegetable garden and do my planting. And then I also keep one section of these I keep with some of the plants that I've already planted. So I've got their little tags so I can remember some of their details. So one of those might be old seed packets or anything like that. And then the other ones have their seeds. Let me move some stuff around so I can do this. Let me see. Get this out of the way so I can figure out what seeds. I kind of already know which seeds I want to plant because I've been thinking about them all year. There's not much room on this table. Like I said, I was going to do this outside, but it was too cold. And you need a day that you can just be in your grungies, just your comfy clothes. Don't worry about your hair and makeup. For me, not having a schedule kind of regenerates me. Like I woke up this morning without an alarm on, and it's already almost 1 o'clock, and I'm just kind of pulling myself together. I've gotten breakfast, I kind of did this and that, I just go at a slow pace. So a couple of the seeds I really want to plant, I've got to find them. Jay bought me these special seeds and they're called cucamelons. Have you ever heard of a cucamelon? Well, I saw them on, if I can find them. He bought them last year, so I'm hoping they're in here. We were watching a YouTube channel and they kept talking about cucamelons last year, and I was like, I don't know what this cucamelon thing is, but it looks like a mini watermelon, but it's like in the cucumber family. Well, I should have found it before. Okay, we're switching gears. How about we talk about last year I grew a mix of seeds and of tomato seeds, and I ended up with this wonderful plant with yellow they were kind of yellow orange mini tomatoes. And since it was in a mix of seed packet, I didn't like the other tomatoes that were in that packet. But of course, the other tomatoes are the ones that I ended up putting in my regular garden. And this one I only put in a little pot, and it barely grew, and it only had 3 tomatoes on it. And I tasted one, and it was the best tomato. So I saved that last one, and I saved its seeds. So I'm hoping that I can possibly get, that's my goal, get these little seeds. I wonder if I should just keep them in their little dried out thing, or if I should try to individually put these seeds. There's not many seeds here. I'm gonna be lucky if I get them. But I loved this tomato so much that I'm like, I have to have it. Maybe I'll just plant that whole little thing in there and water it and hope for the best. Maybe I'll do that one too. I don't know if you can see, dealing with little tiny, I just dried them. See those little tiny, I don't know if I could, like that, so. But who knows, maybe something will grow. I can only hope. Okay, now I wish I could find my cucamelons here. Gotta find them. And, oh, I had a customer last year. I did her mother's dress for a wedding. And her hubby had grown the most amazing cantaloupes. And she brought me some cantaloupes when she came to pick up her dress. And they tasted so good, and they were just in her backyard. And so what did I do? I saved the seeds. So I'm gonna do a whole pack of her cantaloupes from my little customer. Do you guys save seeds? I'm gonna put 2 in that just in case. So as I cover that up, let's think about that, and then let's talk about what the second step is to, oh, and I got watermelons, sorry, I got distracted. The second step is to decide what days work for you. Let's go ahead and go to that. So what days work best for you? That was one of the things we talked about last week, about going through your schedule and trying to find room for a little wiggle room and room to do the things that are most important to you. That was last week. But this week we're talking about finding yourself a day of rest, at least one, where you don't have to have a schedule, where you can hang out in your jammies and your comfy cozies. You don't have to get a shower, do your hair, makeup. You don't have to see people if you don't want to, unless you are an extrovert, and then you probably want to go see people. So, you know, find a day of the week, like look at your calendar and say, okay, my work schedule is like this, we're running after the kids here, and that may be very difficult, but maybe you can just even find pockets of time, maybe an evening during the week. And this is the thing, you don't have to be like everybody else. It doesn't have to be a certain day of the week. Just find yourself some pockets of time. And in certain seasons, like we talked about last week, there are different seasons of your life. There are seasons where it's harder and seasons where you'll have more time. But even when it's harder, you're going to benefit from taking that time off. My customers will benefit from the fact that I didn't sew all weekend long, because then I'm irritated and I'm sewing kind of grudgingly. I'm like, I don't want to be here. It's so nice outside. I want a day of rest. I need some rest. So when I take that day off, I'm not only giving a gift to myself, also to the ones I love, so I'm not so grumpy, but also to my customers, because I've always believed that when you are cooking a meal for your children, when you are sewing something, when you are, whatever you're doing for your job, you're gonna do a better job if you can sprinkle love in it and joy. So whatever that is, if you are, you know, working at a nursing home and you're taking care of, you know, patients, maybe that's something you're really good at and you're passionate about. But if you are tired and you're doing it 7 days a week and you're not getting any time for rest, you're gonna start to kind of be a little, you know, you're just gonna be begrudgingly do it. You're not going to be joyfully doing it. So taking a little time for yourself, taking some time to do what restores you, is actually going to benefit the people you're helping. So like I will, after yesterday and today, having some time to just kind of be at a slower pace and do what I love to do. Tomorrow I'll meet with some customers and I'll be, you know, cheerful and happy to jump right back into sewing. So do that. And I just found my cucamelon seeds, by the way. They are actually called Mexican sour gherkin. And I don't know who calls them cucamelons, but I've never eaten one. I've never seen them, but I'm dying to, and it doesn't feel like there's any seeds in there. You ever get a pack of seeds and you're like, is there even any seeds in that? So let's find out. We bought these, you know, like I said, at the end of last year, and Jay did for me as like a little treat. And it came with 2 of them, 2 packs. But it doesn't feel like there's any seeds. Oh, I would think that they would be like a watermelon seed or like a cucumber seed. And yeah, they kind of are, but they're really tiny. So they're like miniature. So just like they are tiny watermelon or tiny cucumber melon, their seeds are just as tiny. I don't know why I didn't expect that, but I guess in a tiny fruit, it would have tiny seeds. So, oh my goodness, they are so tiny, I almost need to get my reading glasses. So I'll add some of those. That will be very interesting. Have any of you guys ever had a sour gherkin or a cucamelon? The channel we watch is Roots and Refuge, and she was in Arkansas, I believe, and she just moved to South Carolina. So they do a lot of things that we don't. And so like, I'm trying to think some of the vegetables that she grows that I'm like, I've never even thought about growing that because we don't eat that. So, oh my goodness, those are so tiny. Okay, order yourself lots because they seem to be so tiny. But I will make sure I video if I get any of these little guys. Oh my gosh, they're so tiny. Ah. But yeah, to me this is, should I plant? Okay, I'm gonna save some just in case those are a flop. Saved them in a tiny little package. And I have a little tag for them. And I don't think you have to bury these very far. They say when you're planting to just bury about the depth of the, like twice the size of the seed. So like with lettuce and stuff, you pretty much can sprinkle on the top and kind of rough it in. With seeds, you know, like this, same thing, just kind of barely tap some soil on top of them. And then I'll water those in. Well, that will be exciting to see. I've never had those. The other is okra. We don't eat okra on this side of the world. Do you eat okra? I've never tasted okra. So Maybe someday I'll have to try that and try new things. So let's go into our step number 3. And now that you have kind of determined, you've made yourself a list of all the things that bring rest and joy to you, and then you've found some time on your calendar, now it's time for number 3, and you're going to make a plan. So let's talk about that. So what is that saying from Disney? A dream is a wish the heart makes. So until you put your dream or your wish into a plan, it remains a dream. So you can always be going, oh, I just dream of days where I can take off or time to myself. Until you put that into a plan, it's still going to remain a dream. So if you want it to be a goal, you have to turn it into a plan. So make a plan. How are you going to do that? How are you going to make a plan to do that? Maybe by turning off your phone on that day. I have a separate phone for my business, a separate cell phone and a separate phone for personal. So in the evenings and weekends, I can walk away from my personal phone, my business phone, and then I still can have contact with my children and my family, but everybody else is on that kind of more business. And it used to be my personal phone, but during COVID, I had a business phone at my shop, but during COVID, I had to give every one of my brides and everyone my cell phone so that they can contact me, because for 7 weeks we were here. I was kind of running everything from my house. And so my cell phone started to ring at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. I'd get text messages at 1, 2 a.m. And the hard part was I was trying to figure out how I could still hear my children for emergency. And I found one of our neighbors actually turned me on to the fact that you can put your emergency contacts, you can put them to emergency bypass. So their text is going to be turned off, but they could call you in an emergency and it would go through even if you were on kind of not a silent mode or a do not disturb mode. So I did that for my children to make sure that, and my parents and my in-laws, to make sure that if they called me in the middle of the night, I could get that, but still put my phone on silent or on do not disturb. And then just having a separate phone for my business has really alleviate. I told you guys, especially on days off, when I'm just exhausted, my brain and my mouth don't always work at the same time. You probably have noticed that in my videos. I will say the wrong word, but mean a totally different word, meaning, that's what I'm talking about. I better go back to doing some restful stuff here. So I have another seed packet that I am trying for the very first time. It is the silver slicer cucumber. I've never tried it, but it comes highly recommended once again. So why not? Let's try I like trying new things. It's fun to watch them grow. It's fun to taste them for the first time. But yeah, back to my words. They don't always come out right. And I think my mom has the same problem and my brother has the same problem. My brother once told me, he says, I'm so frustrated. Now my brother is a rocket scientist. My brother is a genius. And he worked for NASA, and now he's working actually for the government doing, I don't know, a lot of things he does is top secret, so I don't always know everything he's done, but he's worked for quite a few aerospace companies, and now he does aviation. I think it's for the Navy, if I'm right. So they work on a lot of stuff. But anyways, he's a genius. So inside his head, a genius, but he has the same things where he can't get the right words to come out. And this is like a family trait. So if I get on camera, then I kind of mess up my words. And number one, if you love me, you're just gonna have to accept that, and you have to learn how to understand Christa when she's talking, because she may say the wrong word. So I do get, you know, people give me a hard time about that, but it gets worse when I get tired or when I'm on a day when I want to just shut off. So like we're talking about rest. We're talking about having a day where you don't have to talk to anybody. I'm an introvert, and so I do need to have days where I don't talk and I don't listen to people, and I can just go into a quiet mode. I can listen to God, I can listen to my own thoughts. It's the time that my brain goes in and wants to organize all my thoughts and have you ever seen on a computer where you can do that cleaning thing and all the files are spread out all over the place in the computer, and as it's cleaning and organizing it, they're all putting them in the right categories? I feel like that's what my brain does when I have a shutdown day. And not everybody understands that. My husband is an extrovert. However, he seems to be more and more introvert lately, the older he gets. And I tend to get seeming like I'm extroverted, but I'm really an introvert. So silver slicer, make sure I get the right tag, because then that would be a surprise when I had the wrong thing. Then I'm gonna do, I think, some snap peas. I really like snap peas. I like to just munch on them right in the garden. I might even do quite a few of these. So anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about, but I have to have days where I just need to process. And my mother-in-law, just moving up here, she's an extrovert. So she likes to talk, and she wants to be around people. And the thing is she's more by herself, you know, with my father-in-law, who doesn't do a lot of talking. So after a whole week of moving her, I could be extroverted and everything. And then all of a sudden we got back and I went into kind of a day where I didn't get out of my pajamas and kind of hung around the bedroom and just and Jay had to explain, she just needs her rest day. She has to recharge her batteries. I could be an extrovert, but then I gotta go and recharge my batteries. So try to explain that to people and try to understand that of other people. Find out what their personality is. Like if you have a spouse, find out what their personality is, and do they need some quiet time. Don't think that they're mad at you if they're just being quiet. Or if you have a spouse that's extrovert, encourage them maybe to get involved with a hobby that includes other people, maybe like flying drones or something, where they could be part of a little flying drone club or something, and they can get all of their extrovertedness out. So our number 3 was make a plan. So you have to solidify that plan and try to put it into action. So and stick to that plan. And number 4 is going to go with that, and that is that you're going to guard that time. How are we going to do that? How are you going to guard that time? Okay, I've got some bunching onions, and I'm gonna try those because I actually should have had those in the ground like way a long time ago. And it's funny because some plants are ready to go out and ready to be planted, but I'm not ready to, you know, deal with the cold and go prepare the ground. So this could actually be planted in the ground right now, but it's just too cold for me to get out there, so I'm gonna plant it here. So I've got the bunching onions. But we're talking about guarding that time. You need to guard your time. And how you're gonna do that is you need to educate the people that love you. and educate the people around you. You've got to tell them, this is important to me. I need this time so that I can be nice to you. I need this time so I can feel rested, so that I have the energy to do what else I need to do. So you educate the people around you. Also educate yourself. You know, just that step one was finding, you know, what energizes you and what fills you up, what brings you back to peace. It's a huge important part to peace, because if you don't find time to rest, your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, if you don't find that time, you're never gonna have that true peace that you really want. You wanna be at peace and you wanna have energy during the times when you have to be out in the world and doing your job and being a mom, or you know, all of the different things we have to do out there. And we want to do it well. We want to be kind to people. We want to minister to people. We want to reach out and help people. But we've got to take the time to rest our bodies, our minds, and our spirits, so that we are prepared to be the best we can be. So guard that time. Put it on the calendar. Make a plan. Educate the people around you. And remind them over and over again. What if you have somebody who you've reminded over and over again and they forget? If you are an introvert, the extroverts in your world will not understand. And no matter how many times you tell them, they forget. And it's not that they're want to hurt you or anything like that. They completely forget, because they want to be with you. They want to talk with you. They want to, you know, love to them is being together. And so they're not understanding that they need to give you a break. So keep educating them. I am surrounded by extroverts. My mother is an extrovert. My husband is an extrovert. My mother-in-law is an extrovert. I have a lot of extroverts around me. And I just have to constantly go back to, remember, this is what I need. Remember, I need to do this so that I can be a better mom, so I can be a better wife, so I can be a better daughter-in-law, so I can be better at all of those things. So I want to encourage you to guard the time that you have. People are going to call and want to schedule things with you during those times. If you're an extrovert, you're going to be thrilled. If you are an introvert, do not say yes. I think it was Sandra in one of our comments, it might have been last week, I'm not sure, but she said, only when you have to say no, only do what God is asking you to do. Evaluate everything in your schedule. Evaluate the things you're saying yes to. And yeah, there are some really great things out there, but maybe God wants you to, at this time of your life, focus on this other thing. And these other good things you have to say no to. That has to do with your schedule, like we talked about last week. It also has to do with your rest days. You can't compromise your rest day or you can exchange it. So what ends up happening with me a lot in my rest days is somebody has a birthday, I've got to go to a barbecue, somebody has this going on or this going on. So then that week I'm trying to exchange that time that I would have rested, and I try to find another window and block it completely out of my schedule. So I hope that helps. What I'm doing right here is broccoli, and I didn't mark my onions, and let me mark those before I forget what I just did. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna finish these trays. I've got 2 more. I'm gonna start growing enough for my house, and then I love to give these as gifts when I get them all growing. I'll kind of bring you in when they're growing and show you a little, maybe even a little short video of them. But I'm gonna continue for the rest of this afternoon and do my quiet time. Turn off the camera because that does still take a little bit of my energy. Turn back on my worship music that doesn't have lyrics. That's just, I'll put it in the description so you can actually listen if you'd like. And I'm just gonna sit here in the quiet and plant the rest of my seeds, all the rest of the packs. Then I will water them, and then I will probably add that vitamin to them. And then as soon as I have watered them, I'm gonna water them outside so there's not as much of a mess, just like I did the dirt outside. And then I will add these on. I'll put them in a sunny window. And then what I'm gonna do is, I don't have a grow light. Eventually I'd love to have a greenhouse. If you guys have a greenhouse, you guys are so lucky, you don't even know. If you have a grow light system, my house is so small that there's not even, and this is our south side is kind of covered up with patios, and our north side doesn't get any sun in the windows. This window does get sun in the morning, so I'll probably put them out here on this table to get some morning sun. And then when I have some good days, I'm gonna take them outside. What I'll do is, if it's too sunny, I'll actually take these off if it's warm enough, because I don't want them to get fried. And if there's a little sun but it's still cold, I might put these here or kind of lift it up so they can get a little air. But I'm gonna watch them real close, and then you're supposed to do these, plant them 6 weeks before your last frost. I am probably more like, I'm about a month away. So I'm about 4 weeks, so I'm a little bit behind, but you know what? I'm always behind, and that's okay. So it's still fun it's more about the experience than I have to get these out. I think that's what my days off are. It's getting rid of the have-tos and doing the want-tos. And I may not do it perfect, but I want to do it and I want to enjoy it. So I will see you in the next video, and I hope you all have a wonderful week. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my day, and you all have a wonderful week. Love you all so much, and shalom, my dear friends.